It's hard to imagine a world drastically different from the one we know.
Climate models predict warmer tropical oceans. More heat from the oceans adds energy that creates powerful winds. This could lead to stronger storms and hurricanes.
The prestigious American Museum of Natural History has created a computer-generated glimpse of a hotter world in the year 2050.
The global average temperature may be anywhere from 3 to 8 degrees higher than it is today.
A change of just a few degrees could make a catastrophic difference.
Global warming is expected to cause sea level rise. Melting of some glaciers could add more water to the seas.
Washington, D.C., a few feet above sea level, could disappear underwater.
The Jefferson Memorial would become an island. A major storm surge would nearly encircle the Washington Monument and completely surround the Internal Revenue Service. Muddy waters would even reach the grounds of the U.S. Capitol.
What it adds up to is sort of like pulling an ecological rug out from under plant and animal species.
The cause, scientists theorize, is chemical pollution. So much has risen above the Earth that a shield has formed in the upper atmosphere. Heat from the sun that is supposed to be reflected back into space gets trapped. A greenhouse effect, if you will. The Earth gets warmer.
Carbon dioxide, a primary greenhouse gas, is now at its highest level of the past 160,000 years.
Carbon dioxide gas is just one of the greenhouse gases. Our factories, our power plants, our cars make carbon dioxide the biggest source of pollution of our industrialized world.
The United States releases an average of 40,000 pounds of carbon dioxide per person every year.
Trees and leaves naturally absorb carbon dioxide gas and convert it to oxygen for us to breathe. But we're destroying forests too. So what can we do?
Cut forest burning, promote reforestation, promote energy efficiency and conservation, and let's have some serious looks at new energy sources.
Work in your community recycle, that's why we go clean up the town.
It's not just the scientists who are looking for solutions.
And if we just walk a little more and just recycle, that it would be a better place.
I don't use that much energy, and I turn off light bulbs and so on.
Making the world a better place is a very big job. So is finding just the right balance between what's good for the world's economy and what's good for the world. The problem of pollution and the possibility of global warming poses another threat on the other side of the world. Live now from Beijing, China, we're joined by my colleague Bill Whitaker. Bill?
Hello, Dan. The government of China has made economic development its top priority. But while the people of this most populous nation on Earth are getting richer, as you can see from the heavy pall of smog behind me today, their environment is getting poorer. As China heads toward the year 2000, much of the country still is struggling to pull out of the 19th century, locked in poverty, underdeveloped. So China's communist leaders have embarked on a breakneck modernization program, determined to catch up with the industrial world. Through the 1980s, the economy grew a whopping 10% a year. Demand for electricity doubles every 5 years. It's a great leap forward powered by dirty, cheap coal. Lots of it, 1 billion tons a year. China produces and consumes more coal than any other nation on Earth.
Coal is the food of Chinese industry. Without coal, our industrial development would suffer.
But there's a nasty price to pay. These smokestacks, which bring prosperity, spew millions of tons of pollutants and greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. The billowing emissions shroud China's cities in a sickening morass of smog much of the year and contribute significantly to the warming of the planet. Today, China produces about half the greenhouse gases of the United States, the top polluter. But at present rates, China will be releasing 3 times more than the U.S. in just 3 decades.
They're trying desperately to supply the energy to continue economic growth, and this makes controlling pollution extremely difficult.
Some Western scientists say China is racing along a path toward environmental disaster. But with a population of 1.1 billion people, growing by 17 million every year, China's leaders say they have little choice.
Western nations have developed by burning coal for 100 years. China will not sacrifice its economic development just for the protection of the environment.
China has tough anti-pollution laws on the books, but has little money to implement or enforce them. So its pollution problems are likely only to get worse. China hopes to become a middle-income nation by the turn of the century. Consider the environmental impact if all these people were riding cars instead of bicycles.
I hate to think of 1 billion people in China having air conditioners. I can't imagine what that would do.
The fear, of course, is that it would heat up the Earth even more. China says its pollution problem is a global problem, and it's calling on wealthier nations to help with the cleanup costs. Neighboring Japan, already feeling the effects of acid rain from China, is helping out with money and with green technology. But at best, that can only slow down the growth of China's pollution problem, not end it. Dan?
Bill, are there any alternatives that China can turn to?
Well, China right now is trying to diversify its energy sources. It's building dams for hydroelectric power. It's trying to tap its vast reserves of natural gas. And it's even trying to expand on its nuclear power program. But all of those are much more expensive than using coal. And as in the case with nuclear power, it requires technologies that the West has put off limits to China up to now. Dan?
Thanks very much. Bill Whitaker reporting live from Beijing, China. In our live broadcast, let's take a few of your telephone calls now. T.S. Bolter of Greenville, Michigan. Greenville, Michigan, want to double check? Right, there's so many Greenvilles around. This is Greenville, Michigan. And your question for Robert Grady.
I'm curious about what type of plants could be cultivated and grown to increase the ozone layer and to help to reduce the global warming. I've been led to believe that hemp can do that. I think it's time hemp's used or looked at in our modern society.
I think a whole variety of plants are what they call carbon sinks because they absorb carbon in the process of growing, in the process of photosynthesis that we learned about in school, all of us. And that includes trees and different kinds of grasslands and everything else. So a whole range of possible plants. The main focus of the government to date has been tree planting because trees have many benefits, not only carbon sequestration, but also purifying the water and providing shade, which actually is a big saver of energy, makes buildings more energy efficient when they're surrounded by trees. So all kinds of plants can help as carbon sinks.
Rusty Baird of Carthage, Illinois, has a question also for Mr. Grady. You're on.
Mr. Grady, I guess my question is, why is the Bush administration allowing massive destruction of our old-growth forests when they're telling the public to plant trees on their own land?
Well, I think that the forest policies of this country have improved dramatically over 20 years. I wouldn't necessarily call it massive destruction. The United States is a net planter of forests on the public lands. And the president, for example, proposed to end below-cost timber sales on some of the national forests, signed a bill to end below-cost timber sales in the Tongass. In the Northwest, you had a really difficult problem, much like the salmon problem that was outlined at the beginning of this broadcast. And that was a case where there was a plan to help the spotted owl recover up in Oregon and Washington, but the modeling showed that we would lose about 35,000 jobs under that kind of plan. An alternative plan was presented that said if you preserve the species but it won't recover as fast, won't grow, that you would not lose 15 to 20,000 of those jobs. So that was a very tough decision, and what the president did was to take both plans and present them to the Congress and say, you know, before we throw an extra 15 or 20,000 people out of work here, we ought to take a look at this and have Congress vote on it. So that's what he's proposed, and they've got to vote now.
Mr. Tripp, I want to call you in very quickly. We want to move ahead, but do you agree with what Mr. Grady said there? He put a pretty good face on Bush administration policy vis-a-vis the forests.
It is inexcusable that we're still destroying old-growth virgin forests in this country, and that practice ought to stop immediately. There are plenty of jobs. There are huge amounts of secondary tree growth. Those are the trees that we ought to be cutting. And we ought to be setting an example for the rest of the world in terms of our energy use, showing the Chinese how we can use energy much more efficiently and save our old-growth forests.
Straight ahead, we'll take more telephone calls and hear your questions and comments about trying to clean up the world around us.
Eurostar lighting wasn't saving what they'd hoped since leaving AT&T. Trefethen Vineyards was having trouble getting long-distance calls through on the first try. So they've come back to AT&T, and we want you back. Come back with AT&T Partners in Business. AT&T quality and 20% discounts to the 20 AT&T numbers you choose or the area code you call most. We want you back. Call 1-800-222-0400.
Our dentist recommended baking soda.
But we wanted tartar control.
Arm & Hammer Dental Care gives us both.
Brushing with baking soda or a baking soda toothpaste is recommended by 2 out of 3 dentists to help provide healthy teeth and gums.
New Arm & Hammer Dental Care Tartar Control.
From the baking soda experts.
I've got a 6 a.m. flight. I've got to get some Z's.
Nitol safely helps you fall asleep fast so you can get your Z's. Nitol or Maximum Strength Nitol.
Nitol will help you get your Z's.
I want to show you why my Dirt Devil is the world's best-selling corded hand vacuum. Okay, Sam. Now, the toughest test for any vacuum is pet hair. So I gave my Dirt Devil a strong motor and a revolving brush just like an upright. And if it's powerful enough to clean up this mess, imagine what it can do with a dirty carpet. You could say Dirt Devil is man's best friend. Well, almost. So get a Dirt Devil and put the power of an upright in the palm of your hand.
Great night for a party.
Now, when life turns up the heat,
Hi. Where is everyone?
there's Degree antiperspirant.
Great night for a party, huh?
Degree's body heat activated to release extra protection. Every time your body heat rises, Degree turns on that extra protection. So when you really need it, Degree keeps you drier, fresher. Degree, your body heat turns it on.
Eye on the Earth will continue.
If you've got a Midas guarantee, but don't want to go back, we'll lend you a hand. We'll replace your Midas guaranteed exhaust parts free. It's speedy. Call us on it.
Everyone claims low prices. Luskin's proves it. A GE refrigerator. At Luskin's, our everyday low price is $200 lower than Sears. You know, the store you trust. But that's not all. Sears told us to wait 3 days for delivery. The Luskin family knows you can't wait to replace your refrigerator, so we have same-day delivery. Plus, enter to win 2 executive class tickets to Sydney, Australia on Northwest Airlines from Luskin's. All this plus service where the Luskin family is always watching at Luskin's, the cheapest guy in town.
I started out life normal enough, but then I started listening to 98 Rock. There was no talking to me. I was an angry youth living for rock and roll. Later, I found out that everybody listened to 98 Rock, and it even helped me get bathed. Then when I got in the real world, I learned 98 Rock's 40-minute free rides give me tons of music non-stop. Now I'm all grown up and still listening to 98 Rock. Killer classics and cool new stuff, too. You know, I still live for rock and roll.
98 Rock. It does somebody good.
Crystal Light. Taste the rainbow of refreshment. A burst of lemon. A splash of pink. A spray of lime. Crystal Light. Refreshment for body and soul.
A lot of problems are solved right here in the office with our volunteers and able to do it over the phone, but some problems you've got to get out there and see for yourself, and we do a lot of that too. Hi, I'm Jane.
Jane Miller, 11 on your side.
Much supports the idea of protecting habitat and species.
Well, we mentioned this before, Mr. Grady. I want to get to our next call, but just to follow up on that, one of tomorrow's newspapers said, and I quote here, instead of the confident commander-in-chief who coordinated Allied strategy and rallied support in the Persian Gulf War, President Bush is going to Rio appearing isolated and behind the curve, unquote, and in effect saying everybody else is out of step, I'm the only guy who's in step.
No, I don't think that's it. I think that some of the other countries on biodiversity have pursued a slightly different strategy. A number of the other ones are signing it, but basically issuing statements of interpretation or almost reservation when they sign it. They're issuing statements that say, this is how we're interpreting that intellectual property rights provision, and this is how we're interpreting one or two others in there having to do with financing. and biotechnology. I think they had their reservations too. The United States felt strongly enough about our reservations that the president didn't feel comfortable signing it. And frankly, even though it would have been the politically expedient thing to do to sign it, he stood on principle and refused to.
I want to go to the next call, but very quickly, Mr. Tripp, and it does have to be quickly. What about that? President Bush, does he represent or does he not majority thinking in the United States on environmental problems when he declines or refuses to sign at least one of these Rio agreements?
No, I don't think so. I've read the Biodiversity Treaty. It says explicitly that intellectual property rights, patents, to be respected. Bob Grady also indicated the president was willing to sign the climate treaty, but we got to remember that treaty is very weak, solely because of the opposition of the United States government to any firm commitments.
Karen Watkins is on the line from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, home of the world champion Pittsburgh Penguins, and you're on. Are you there, Karen?
Yes, thank you, Dan. I was going to ask about aerosol cans. We hear how harmful they are to the ozone layer. So why does the government continue to let companies make them and sell them?
Mr. Tripp, why don't you take a swing at that?
Well, the ingredient in aerosol cans that can destroy the ozone layer are CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons. They were banned in the United States, to the credit of the United States, in 1978, and under the Montreal Protocol of 1987, they are gradually being phased out elsewhere. Our aerosol cans today have hydrocarbons in them that can create other kinds of problems, such as ozone, down urban smog, down at the ground level.
Mr. Grady, very quickly, it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong here, that Vice President Quayle in particular has argued that aerosol cans should be allowed to continue to be manufactured. Is that true?
No, I don't think that's true at all. Jim Tripp is right. The United States phased out aerosol cans that have CFCs back beginning in 1978, and since then we've agreed to this Montreal Protocol that will phase out all CFC production in the United States by the year 2000, and in fact we've gone one step further than that. President Bush announced in February that because of the new science indicating that this ozone depletion problem might be occurring more rapidly than we had previously thought, he's proposed unilaterally to have the United States phase out its CFC production in total by 1995. So I don't think what you said about Vice President Quayle is true at all, Dan.
Good to have the record set straight. And we'll be back in a moment with some final thoughts.
Wally and I used to talk about the things we wanted to do when he retired. I wanted to travel and see things. Wally, he just wanted to fish. We never did get to do the things we talked about. One day, Wally had a stroke, and now I take care of Wally.
If you have high blood pressure, don't risk a stroke. Follow the doctor's advice. Watch your weight and stay on your medication.
Lou Gehrig was known as the Iron Man of baseball, and his fans thought he was indestructible. Until a fatal neuromuscular disease, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, prematurely ended his career and his life. Help win the one Lou couldn't. Call the ALS Association.
When you're a woman, life can be a jigsaw puzzle. So many pieces, so hard to fit. You can't get on with your life. At the YWCA, you'll find ways to make the pieces fit, so you can deal with the family or energetic teens, set up childcare, train for a job, get in shape, meet friends, and have fun. At the YWCA, women get their lives together.
Join us!
This very day, 100,000 American children will wake up homeless with no place to go. Over 6,000 American children will be reported abused and neglected with nowhere to turn. And 27 American children will die from the effects of poverty. This day is gone. Promise yourself that tomorrow will leave no child behind. Call 1-800-CDF-1200 to find out how this very day.
June 17, 1972, it began as a third-rate burglary.
There was a cancer growing on the presidency.
It led to the downfall of the president.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
20 years later, we know all the players.
What did the president know?
All the stories.
No one.
Except one.
Deep Throat is to this day.
Bob Woodward, Carl Bernstein, Ben Bradley, and Mike Wallace reveal Watergate, the secret story, next Wednesday at 9.
Watch CBS this morning. It's breakfast for your head.
The news continues with your 24-hour news team.
Good morning, I'm Jim Mustard. A poll of Marylanders shows Bill Clinton barely leading right now in a three-way presidential race with Ross Perot second. The Carroll County School Board has delayed a decision on using a controversial AIDS videotape. And fire has damaged Baltimore's Mount Washington Market in the 1600 block of Kelly Avenue. And the O's beat the Red Sox 3-1. More news later.
Minutes ago, using averages, we can calculate what happened to the world in those 90 minutes. On average, some 9,000 cars, trucks, and buses joined the world's highways. More than 2 million pounds of litter were dropped into the oceans. About 3.5 million tons of carbon dioxide entered the air. This is all over just the last 90 minutes. And perhaps the most powerful reminder of our responsibility to the future, in these 90 minutes, over 15,000 children were born. I want to thank my colleagues from around the world, our experts, and especially you for taking part in our summit of sorts, this special broadcast on the environment, and for helping us all learn a little more about our world. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you tomorrow on the CBS Evening News. Good night.
You were here. She has the traveler's checks here. There's got to be a better way. Here's one now. New American Express traveler's checks for 2. The first checks either of you can use. Don't leave home without them.
You do not want plaque in a new mouth, because a plaque mouth is a lonely mouth. Get a new mouth with Close-Up Anti-Plaque Formula. Close-Up Anti-Plaque Formula is the toothpaste and plaque rinse in one for a cleaner, fresher, healthy mouth. Hate plaque. Fight plaque. Get Anti-Plaque Close-Up. For a new mouth, a close-up mouth.
The skin is red. It's irritated. I had to scratch myself all the time.
We're talking with people about Triple Action Gold Bond medicated powder.
My powder right now is Gold Bond. I find it very soothing. I find it cool to the skin.
Gold Bond's Triple Action is the absorbing action of powder, the medicating action of a proven itch fighter, and the drying action of zinc oxide.
Gold Bond stopped the itch. There's nothing like it. Where I go, it goes.
Try Triple Action Gold Bond medicated powder.
You know how to keep your lawn beautifully green, even in a heat wave? It's easy with Miracle Grow Lawn Food. It feeds as you water, so it can't burn. It's absorbed fast, so you get results fast. Miracle Grow Lawn Food, the cool summer feed for your hot summer lawn.
What does this woman know about dieting that maybe you don't? That you don't have to drink your breakfast, because a serving of Kellogg's Special K actually has fewer calories than a glass of the leading diet shake. In fact, the entire Special K breakfast, including fruit, skim milk, and coffee, has fewer calories than the diet shake. So, if you're going to have something special when you're trying to lose weight, shouldn't it be something special with fewer calories? Kellogg's Special K. Lose the fat.
Eye on the Earth will continue.
This is Richard's office. Richard isn't here right now. He isn't in a meeting, or at lunch, or out of town on business.
I'm going to drop these off in Richard's office. I'll see you in the break.
Richard is a drug addict, and today is the day he finally chose for his new beginning.
For a free confidential consultation, call New Beginnings at 800-365-1919.
You can beat the heat with Lexico's $179 air conditioner blowout. Only $179 for top brand air conditioners. No one can beat our blowout prices. Cool it now with a new air conditioner from Lexico from just $179. Our free check cashing, easy terms, and $5 layaway make it easy. Hurry in for store-wide blowout prices at Lexico on Paca and Lexington Streets. Savings are hot at Lexico, at Paca and Lexington.
During the 31 days in May, TV 11 News brought you a daily visit with people who are making a positive impact on our lives and our communities. Thanks to your overwhelming response and feedback, we'll continue to bring you these good news stories.
Watch for Rod's Good Neighbors reports beginning Sunday, June 21st at 11 on WBAL TV 11 News.
Billy Ray Cyrus, the divorced used car salesman turned instant Elvis. Now Billy Ray's Hometown Secrets on hard copy.
Tomorrow night at 7:30 on TV 11.
Are you allowed up here? Of course. Whose wheelchair? That was my grandmother's. She had Huntington's disease. What's that? It's like your brain cells die, and you can't control your body. Then you die. Ew, why keep his wheelchair? Because it's hereditary. My daddy could get it. I'm not supposed to know this, but I could get it too when I grow up, unless they find a cure.
Please help keep Huntington's from attacking another generation.
CBS News.
He's
setting my ways, losing track of the days. Only me to live for. Had no need to give more than I wanted to.
Spending my time just holding the line, never getting caught up. Love was never brought up, it's not the thing to do. Ooh, it was you, then came you. You made me leap without taking a look. Ooh, it was you, then came you.
You reeled me right in like sinker and hook.
Never thought forever was the best I could do.
Then came you.
It was you, me, you.
Science and Kirk are known for handling automobile accident cases. But we also seek reimbursement and fair compensation for clients in cases of medical malpractice, cerebral palsy injuries, lead poisoning, and other legal matters. Just call Science and Kirk's free injury hotline at 1-800-492-5672. Because across Maryland and in D.C., if you have a phone, you have a lawyer. Science and Kirk.
It's wild. It's outrageous. It's totally new. WKRP, the new WKRP in Cincinnati.
You polyester pig.
If you haven't seen the new WKRP,
I've never seen anything quite like it.
then you don't have your ears on.
Why don't any normal people want to work here?
The new WKRP in Cincinnati. It's full of surprises. The new KRP, Saturday at 7:30 on TV 11.
You know, the first thing I want to do when we get to New Orleans is to take a carriage ride down Bourbon Street.
Oh, I did that once. A car backfired and we ended up in the bayou.
Well, that sounds like fun. Why didn't we go to the convention last year?
I think you forgot, darling. It was in South Dakota in January.
Say no more. Can you pack this? I can't get it in my suitcase.
It's broken.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it's broken.
No,
it's the outlet in the bathroom that's broken. It hasn't been the same since Webster filled it with toothpaste. Look, I'm going to prove it to you.
Follow the crowds to the most talked about furniture sale in the city as the gigantic parking lot sale continues at Value City Furniture. Truckloads and truckloads of new buyouts. Douglas dinette buyout. Save over half off all 5 pieces, $298. Halogen floor lamp, $19.88. 5-piece folding table and chair set, $59. 4-drawer chest, $38. Swivel rocker, $77. Plus living rooms, bedrooms, and more. Save 50, 60, even 70% off. Our tents are jammed with new merchandise. Hurry in today as the parking lot sale continues at Value City Furniture.
Perfect family. Maybe you didn't hear. Nobody's perfect, and neither are families. So just start here and now to make things better with the family you have. Being perfect may not be the answer anyway. Caring enough to make your family work. That's perfect enough. A special message from WBAL TV, Channel 11.
On the next Maury Povich Show,
I have just as much right as any of the boys do to be on the team.
she can pin down the best of the bunch, but the boys on the wrestling team say no way.
It's very physical. You do a lot of physical contact, and I don't think it's really a sport for girls.
Should girls be allowed to go down for the count, or is this sport for boys only? Then, she has a baby, but pageant officials say rules are rules, so she can't have the crown. On the next Maury.
Join me tomorrow at 4 on TV 11.
You know, Arsenio's kicked it with some pretty big names. But Thursday, you ain't seen nothing yet. Because he's rolling out the red carpet for Miss Elizabeth Taylor.
You're kidding. Really?
Yeah, it's the one and only Elizabeth Taylor in a rare TV interview that's sure to get everybody talking. Plus, boxing champ Evander Holyfield and the classic rock of Santana. It's Elizabeth Taylor, Evander Holyfield, and Santana on Arsenio. Where else?
Join me tomorrow at 11:30 on TV 11.
Hey, Buffalo.
Hi, guys.
I'm just fixing a snack. Grape leaves and pita. You want some?
No, it's okay.
What's the matter, Webb? Surely Stanky tried to kiss you again?
No, worse. I joined a club full of nerds.
Oh.